Welcome back. This is Nadeem Bukhari. I've been delivering lectures on the structure of the hand, overall structure of the hands, including fingers, the shape, different types, the fingernails, the quality of fingers. And I concluded the structure itself, but the part of the structure which still continues are the fingers themselves. So this particular lecture is going to be the proportion between the palm and the finger, all the fingers, mainly the upper part and the lower part. And also, individually, I'll discuss each portion or part of a finger. So each finger has three parts or three portions. So I will discuss each one of them individually and also cover the thumb, which we have never covered so far. We just looked at it as from the point of view of the structure itself, but we never interpreted what it actually meant. So I am going to, in one of the subsequent videos, I'm going to cover the thumb itself. So this is in total, I don't know how long it's going to be or how many videos is going to constitute. It all depends how much I cover within within each section. But mainly, primarily it will be the fingers and the palm and the thumb. So once we cover as a separate subject, then we come down to the lines and different kind of symbols on it. So that will be entirely different subject. So this is now we are in the middle of actual structure and going into the interpretation of actual lines. So we are now going to see what impact within a type of a hand we have. So like we discussed that the fingers, if they are smooth, they are pointed, they are crooked, they have knots, they are close, not so close, and there are reasonable distance in between them, or they're wide open, and those kind of things. So now we're going to look at what impact does each portion make on a person's, or it reveals about the personality of a person. So the first thing we are going to look at is actually the proportion. So you look at the bottom of the hand, the middle of the hand where the fingers start, and the top of the hand. So we can actually are looking for proportion. If you look at it, and I'll do it like this because this way it looks smaller. So this way, and then we go this way. So it's almost. This is the bottom, okay? This is it, and this is going to be. Let me get some pencil to measure it with. Okay, I got this pencil to measure it either way, back and front. So this, if I bend, you will see that this is the beginning of my hand, a palm. And on the other side, we discussed this one little circle. This is, and if you bend it like this, this is the beginning. This is the beginning, is the root of your palm. So you take it and you measure it from there. So you, just like we measured the lifeline, okay? So the age, the lives, and event. So we go here. Let's say I'm going to measure it here, okay? And then I take it from here. And from inside, my palm is bigger and my fingers are a little smaller. But if I look at from outside, here, my palm is smaller. So it actually, so you have to be like always I say, don't be deceived by this one size to another size. Like in the fingers, we said, if fingers are like, if this is taller or it's longer than this one, is it because this looks shorter because this is tall, or it is actually short in reality. So it could be both the cases. So it could be that this finger is tall and this is small, or this looks small because this is tall. So you have to be very careful about making a judgment on that. So you take this hand on this side, and this is the right in the middle of this. Yeah, look here. It's just an approximation, okay? And then you go, and then you see. Now on this side, my fingers are longer than the palm itself. So it's the size of the palm, again, right here. So I go in the middle, and then here. So nearly, now because I'm doing on the other side, so sometimes hand is like this or that. So you're going to have like a centimeter. But when you do it on the piece of paper, when you take a picture or you draw the hand, or you take a print of a photocopy of your hand, then you have a precise measurement. And then you can actually, the very one print that I showed in the black, which I had marked, measuring the lifespan, and telling you how to do the age. Same way, you can take this and this. See that? So so now you will have to average out to make sure that sometime you feel, like sometimes you have a hand which has this bottom, the foundation of the finger. Sometimes people have like this. Okay, so does that mean that this portion is smaller or that is bigger? It's just that the foundation tilts to make this hand more concave, or like more like pointed hand. So sometimes the shape will change. So in the square hand, you will see mostly these things running across. If I do like this, okay, so running across, okay, so these will be running across. So there you have them equal size. So now when you do that, you will measure. So approximately when you look at the hand, you see a more kind of a balanced hand. Slightly bigger or smaller will make a difference. Again, if this is small, this is big, or this is big and this is small, it's not alone going to make any judgment, but the judgment is going to be along with the fingers. Okay, so if you have a pointed finger, or you have a tall palm, what does that mean? Or if you have a short fingers and a flat hand, palm, or narrow palm, what does that mean? So you will have to actually add one quality into another quality and come up with the third solution. So those are usually the mixed hands. So you will have, because we know that there are mixed hands, most of the hands are mixed hand. Very rare you will find a very pointed hand, or very square hand, or very flat hand. So usually it's the mix of all of it. So 19%, I'm just picking a number, so don't catch me on that. But most are square hands with the mixed hands. The majority is the square hands with mixed hands, square mixed hands. So, but it could work equally with pointed hands, which have some square, some flat, and making those people more acceptable in the society. And same way, people who are very outward, to keep them into the society, part of their daily life, they have some pointed and some square fingers, or portion of fingers, or something to give them that quality to be part of the society. So like more intuitive, like very intuitive, like we said, maybe they are like Sufisms or Buddhists who go on, or maybe those priests, Hindu priests that go on the mountain. So they are like they're fed up of the world. They don't want to mix up with the world. But those are like very typical personalities. So they are very intuitive. They are spiritual people. They don't want to mix up with other. So are the flat. They are so outward that they hardly come back home. So now we have, but most of the world is not like that. Most of the world is a mix of all of them. So that's what we are going to talk about. The size of the palm, the size of the fingers. So if it looks really, sometimes you will feel that these are really very short, and palm really appears very, in a very practical hand, you will see that. very practical, industrial type of people, who are square hand, fixed people, part of society, but they are really, really industrial people. They are not really flat type of thing, but they are like more hardworking people who are more like into if they, let's say they are supervisor or managers of a factory, for example. They are fixed. They are not flat, but they're fixed. But they are like supervisors and chairmen or managers of engineers, or some kind of the people who do the fixed job as a square hand type of thing. Then you will see that their palm will be slightly bigger. It's because of the physical strength. So it's the physical strength that comes from the palm. So it's the energy. This is the source of energy, and then the energy goes out of the fingers. So the fingers tell how sophisticated flow of energy is, how you tackle that energy when it's leaving you. It's the thought process, or it's your intuition, or it's your soul that you portray, how you portray to the people, how you come out to the people. This is how the fingers will tell about the flow of that kind of energy. So the source of energy is right here. So the bigger the palm gets, the wilder the person becomes. The person is very ambitious. The person is very has more like worldly desires, more to more physical in the sense of desires and doing things and achieving things. It's more like self, and that's how a bigger palm will come out to you. So a very big palm, we are talking about the bigger side of it. Really, really very big palm, very small fingers. They really appear to be these people are not sophisticated people. So even if my palm appears to be slightly bigger than my fingers on this side, but not on that side, still you can see I'm not a person with who's very desirous, or is submissive to the desires, or like going for wants, a lot of wants. I want this, and I want that, and I want that, and I want that. I could be more industrious. I could be more outgoing. I could be doing things. At the same time, I might be intuitive. I could be, because when I write, I'm more intuitive. But when I go out, I'm more industrious, and I'm more athletic and sporty and all that. So it's the quality that switch between one quality to another quality because of my mixed hand. So this is why you should not be intimidated by a big hand and you say, oh, this person is a bad person. Okay, so it's just that it's a more energy. Person is self-centered. Person has more wants. He's submissive. He's more. It's like if he sees something, this person sees something. He says, I want this. This is he has the tendency of grabbing things. He will actually go. So for that, you have to see the rest of the quality of the palm. So again, the palm, because is the general topic today. I do not want to cover too much to palm today, but I will talk about more fingers so that I can cover fingers. So, but in comparison, when you are looking at the comparison, you are actually looking at that the palm itself not only is bigger, but it's very, very meaty, looks like a very strong hand. The more it gives you that kind of impression, the more person wants. He's more desirous. His willpower is more, his wants are more concentrated upon, I want that. And you will see a lot of things. They're grabbing things around with them. They want to collect money. They want to collect cars or make homes or whatever they want to do. They want it. So the wants, they are submissive to their wants. They are like ruled by their wants, their desires. Also, when both palm and your fingers are almost nearly the same size, very equal sizes, very, very, that's your middle of this, the spectrum we have been talking about, the range, this range and that range, and then we had a modest range. So modesty of the hand is the equal size of fingers as compared to the equal size of palm. And then with that, when hand looks very nice, very very sophisticated, and obviously this person is a very sophisticated, very nice personality, not so biased person. He has or she has a very balanced personality, and least prejudice, least opinionated. They are usually liked by everyone. They are usually desired by anyone. They are good friends. They are good brothers and sisters, siblings, cousins, part of the society, because they have a very moderate personality. So the second thing you're looking for is is actually, just like we looked at the quality of hand, overall hand, nails in the last subject, the quality of hand, the color of the hand is also very important. So you have to make sure that a hand that you're looking at is decolorized, like it's like whitish, or it is red or pink red, or too red, or it looks healthy or unhealthy. Some people sweat. They sweat a lot. You'll see that their palm is sweating. That actually shows the nervousness, the underlying stress that they are going through. So the color itself will reveal a lot of things about the health, including along with the fingernails. So the temperature of the hand should be normal. When you touch it, it shouldn't feel like the person has fever or something. Some people without fever will have very warm hand. The temperature will be higher, or they will be sweaty, they will be cold. So you have to look for that. It reveals health issues. So a very warm, feverish hand will be actually maybe they are responding to some kind of infection, some kind of a issue. So both ways, if it's too cold or too warm, that's not a normal thing. So you want to suggest to the person to go and see a doctor. It might be a good idea to make sure that you're checked. Usually because they have been living with their hands, so they don't find it abnormal or something wrong with it. They just thought, maybe this is the way that their hand is. And sometimes it's just that it's happening now. I know a few people who actually always had a sweaty hand. And sometimes you're sweaty under the conditions. So you'll find yourself sweating if there was, like, maybe you're going for an exam, or maybe a driving test. You're going through some kind of a physical challenge or something, or you're in a situation, maybe a threat or something. You'll see that your hands become moist. So now you can see that what is going on in a person, and why a person sweats, because the challenge that it comes, the body will increase or decrease the temperature, and then it's not a normal situation. So if you see an accident or somebody challenges you, and you start to tremble or shiver, or you start to sweat, that's not normal situation. So if a person who is sweating all the time, so probably the person mental state or psychological state is under pressure. He or she may know it or may not know it. So you will, along with the nails and the kind of hand, the structure of the hand, will determine that if this isn't something, it should have been normal or not abnormal. So normal hand with a normal temperature is a good health. So you look at a person who has a very nice temperature, it's not too hot, by touching you don't feel it's like you touch maybe a frying pan or something on an oven. So it shouldn't feel hot, or like touching a teapot or something. So if it doesn't feel like, it's normal temperature. And again, when you are sensing the temperature, make sure your own hands are not cold. Because if you are cold, you will feel another person's hand too hot. And if you are too hot, you will feel other person's hands too cold. So always remember that. When you are making a judgment, you are actually measuring it under certain circumstances. So to make a good judgment, you have to take into part that how you are also feeling, how your mental state, how your sweating is. So if you are hot, if you are under the pressure, or you're feeling you're unrest, you didn't sleep properly, and you just had a very rough day, and now you're looking at somebody's hand, probably your measurement will be not as accurate. Maybe you might be a little biased in judging a hand. So it's very important that when you look at a hand, so you are actually uh, um, making sure that your hand is also a normal hand at the time. So feel like, you can feel, or you can always touch your body and you can feel if it's warm, hot. You can feel. But sometimes these are all are superficial. Sometimes you feel very hot. Say, oh, I think I got fever. But when you use you measure your temperature, it's normal. So in that condition, so you have to. This is why we mostly we look at the color itself, the color, the perspiration, sweating of the hand, or the general decolorization, or over blood pressure, or showing too much blood, or swellings, or things like that. So this is the health. So normal hand will look normal. So this is the normal person with a happy life, a better life. In palmistry, a hot hand, hand which is more sweaty and hot, may have especially hot hand, may have some stomach issues, or something to do with the belly. So make sure, don't forget to ask, do you have, if you feel that his or her hands are hot, more than normal, and they feel hot, then probably you need to ask him or her that, okay, do you have any stomach issues? If she says no, then probably it's just a temporary thing. But if it is not, then you will actually be discussing, okay, how he or she need to look at it and consult a doctor. Hot and perspiring or sweating hand. According to the palmistry, it will point towards some issues with the lungs. So when lungs are not healthy, you will see some perspiration or sweating, or and along with hot. So it's sweating, perspiration, also along with the hot temperature, too hot hand. So hot and moisture. So that points towards some lungs problem. So have person check. Maybe first ask. Probably they will tell you. If they have a lungs problem, they will tell you. If not, check other things. Check hotline too. If you have a problem with lungs, probably blood pressure or blood conditions or life conditions, or something will point to it. Your nails will point to it, and your type of fingers will tell you about it. So do look at that. So a cold hand, on the other hand, is a cold nature also. A person who is normal cold, he says, ask first. You don't say, oh, you have a cold hand. Ask, have you always had a cold hand? Is it always like that? You can feel the rigidness is not soft, it's hard, it's cold. You feel the hand. You can actually get some kind of a sense out of the hand that you feel it's cold. It's like being cold nature. It's like a little bit on the negative side. That person is going to be more kind of a cold in nature, in psychologically as well and spiritually as well. So a cold hand may be more least in manners, and least in in etiquettes or behavior in dealing with other people will be a little bit cold in nature, more aggressive, and more cruel. I didn't want to use this word because then it sounds very negative. But it's like kind of, that. Now, it all depends how cold it gets. If it's really cold, then it has to be a cruel hand. So, opposite of the moist hand, they're normally moist hand. You feel they're nice, fluffy, nice and touching. But what if they are too dry? When you touch them, you feel like you're touching wood or maybe a stone or something very harsh. So then, that hand that is dry, the skin is dry. You feel like you're what they call it, a crocodile skin. So alligator skin. When they advertise, moisturizers for women, they say okay, and they show a crocodile. So it means it's a very rough kind of a skin of the palm. Then you will know that this person has some kind of a pressure, a psychological pressure, or a nervous issue, and this person will not be as active. He's like, this person is refraining from being part of the life. This person could be not participant in the general activities, or with other people they are more reserved people. So these people may have bit of problem with their senses, in a sense that they are like, they dislodge themselves from their surrounding. They really don't care about other people. They're kind of a bit cold, especially if it's a big cold and dry hand. And then this quality. So we discussed, the hand which is very, very big and fluffy, meaty and strong, big, cold, and then dry. Then the negative part of it will be more prominent. So you need to look at these three qualities of the cold dryness. So if one person who you are looking at, the person is sweating at one point and he's not sweating at the other, just like on and off, on and off, on and off, probably it shows the emotional turmoil that the person is going through. Nervousness, calm, nervousness, calm, nervousness, calm. So this then reflects within as a sweat. So sweatness is because of the nervousness. So a person is calm at time and nervous at the other time. So this person swings between the emotions. So a person could be very calm at the time and very. So if you see a person sitting with a sweaty hand, very calm, probably you can expect him to or her to be a little jumpy, little angry, or reacting in a very strange way. So, and becoming nervous, and when nervous, probably, if depending upon rest of the hand, how the personality was. So this nervousness will result into something. So be intuitive, square, or flat, or being dry, big, cold, long, narrow, whichever the hand type or nail types or finger types are. But it's on a good side, though. These people are not, bad people. They are just sensitive. So they are very calm. So all of a sudden, you throw something on them, they become nervous, they start to sweat, and they react to it. So their reaction is in response to your action. So fundamentally, they are nice people because they're calm people. So they're nice people. They react nicely. But as soon as you put pressure on them for some kind of a pressure, they will sweat and they will react. But their reaction is not really with a bad intention. It's just that, how things happen to them, and they will only reflect like, a very long fingers that we were talking about, those people they will receive everything. So if you have a very long fingers, smooth, nice, long fingers, these people are they're like mirror, they just take anything, reflect whatever they take, they accept, whatever you throw at them. They will go along with you. They are not naughty. They won't think that what you're throwing at them. They will just take you on your face value. They say, okay, whatever you're saying, okay, we accept that. So put that hand together with the person who has the sweating palm, on and off sweating palm. So it's normally dry, but occasionally it starts to sweat. So you will see that with that kind of thing, when you threw something on that person who had the very nice fingers, long, nice fingers, so smooth fingers, we call it. So nice, smooth fingers, long, smooth, nice fingers. If they have a sweaty hand at a time, that means those people were not bad people. They were if they reacted, just forgive them, It's a heat of the moment, they will not react, but if they do, they reacted because you. So sometimes they take situational pressure. It's not because what you did. I know someone who just sits next to me in the driving. His hands are always sweaty. It's just when driving. Even though he is very calm under the situation, he will travel with you miles and hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, will not react, but you will see his palms sweating while you are driving. So it's that situation. He's not saying it to you. He's not disclosing it to you. It's happening somewhere in the back of the mind, somewhere in the subconscious. You can see in the hand. And as soon as you come out of the car, you walk a little bit, go to maybe a shop or something, or restaurant, or come inside the home. The sweatness is gone because that situation is over. So it doesn't really mean that sweating will actually be in reaction to what you said something, but it's under this situation itself. So this is very important that you should pay attention to. So when this sweating is too much, is sweating all the time is too much. It's wet. People have their towel, maybe a tissue paper, or a paper roll next to them, and they are constantly drying their hands, with their body, with clothes and pants, they're constantly, because it's constantly wet. That's a very different situation that person is coming through. Such person is caring, because it's a nervous system, like we said, he's only reacts under the situation. But this person is reacting under the situation, but at the same time, this person is too lazy. When a too lazy person who doesn't want to do anything is put under the situation to do something, will constantly sweat and heavily sweat. Some people do sweat, and they sweat more than others, given the situation. I know somebody who, when I was in the military academy, so this person, the moment he started marching, his whole uniform was all wet. And the NCOs or JCOs who would be conducting the parade would say, look at him, he's putting up a lot of work, and we said, we did more, we were putting up more than him. It's just we don't sweat. So the sweating is under the situation that when you put a person under the situation, the person will sweat. So when the person is going to sweat, then it shows that the person is taking more and more situational stress or reacting to. Now, too much sweat means the person is lazy. Now he's sweating because it's like, and not only hand, but body will also start to sweat. Because when you make a person from rest to motion, and motion is against the muscles, and it creates tiredness and all that, you'll see the sweatness. So it's one of the, again, you should be looking at, along with other fingers, the conditions and the structure of the hand, as always. Now, this is most important, and you should be very careful when you come to this. A very sweaty hand is going to be slightly more sexually promiscuous, strong, tendency towards getting married early or having an affair in a very early age. So because of the desires of the body. And along with that, if you have the size of the palm and the finger, or the thumb, the size of the thumb and then fingernails, you can add to the spice and the spectrum. So because of this, the problem with the sexuality or the physical desires, the person has to be, you need to look at the person's individual characteristics, get second testimony. This is the time when something enters towards negative, a trait that is more negative, you will go for my advice, 1, 2, 3, 4 testimonies. The hand should reflect. If a tendency is too much, it's not a normal hand. If it's too much on the right side of the spectrum, too much on the left of the spectrum, and then it reflects all the negativity of that side, then even the moderate hand, the square hand, can be abnormal hand, depending upon, like, a person who works 2 shifts and he ruins everything. But again, you have to look into it. So a person who does that, you will need to look at his rest of the testimonies. So do not make a judgment until and unless you have a second testimony or third testimony. The more the testimony, then more accurate you will be, and you can say with the confidence that this is what it is. Interesting, once upon a time when I started astrology and palmistry, I came across a person who really insisted upon coming and seeing me, and I was not as expert or I didn't have a comprehensive understanding of these things. So I made both his chart and read his hand. And I figured out that this person is a womanizer. And I didn't know how to disclose it to him because it's a very big challenge. It's a big thing to say to somebody, that you are a person who is a womanizer, or is a person with the sexually bad qualities. So, but as I was consulting both his chart as well as his hand, I started to slowly and gradually bring his topic towards it. So slowly. So I thought, I realized that he's actually taking interest in that. So then I threw more and more onto him. And I didn't ask him directly, but I had him admit that he is the person who commits a lot of fornication, a lot of womanizing. And then, when I brought him to this point, he just opened up. He started talking about himself. He told me things that, I could have never known. But things that talk about equality, if you are sure it exists, you have testimony, more than one per testimony, 2, 3, or 4, it's coming from different sources that is saying that the person is like this. Then you're approach very softly, very nicely. Start to dig in. Okay, do you like to date? You like to do this? You like to do that? Blah blah. Yes, I do. And then you keep on bringing, the person. Okay, retreat. Okay, come on now. Tell me more. And then you say, you know what, this is what you are? Yes. And now he has already come so far, he or she will admit to it. So you have to be very, very careful. You don't want to get punched right in your nose, or maybe, bad things happen to a lot of, this. And if you're wrong, then you become a fortune teller. They say, you know what, you are a hoax. You are, the whole knowledge goes down, then the whole knowledge get cursed because you are wrong, you didn't make the right estimate, you didn't say the right thing. And those people who think that this knowledge is wrong, they get a testimony out of you because you said something wrong, and they end up, saying, okay, no, you were wrong. Okay. On the other hand, there are things that happen to you, you say to the other people, you will come across, and people will constantly deny that. Even though it's true, people would deny that. Like in one of the cases, I said, I saw this line, the person had gone to jail. The person will not admit that. And I was not using the word jail. I was saying, okay, you went through some kind of an embarrassment recently. And he said, no. I said, you did. And it's just that because he was in the people. And that's another thing that you've got to be very careful. Do not see anybody's hand or read a chart in presence of even wife or siblings or anybody. Very close. And if they insist, only tell them something very superficial, something that they want to hear and they don't mind sharing with other people. Don't tell them that you're going to get divorced, or you are very bad in the bed, or you are not a strong person, or you are a fornicator, or you are a thief, or you are a cruel person. Don't say things like that. These are the things that you must be very, very careful, even when you are alone with that person. And unless you have 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2 or 3, at least 3. I usually go for 3. But when I'm saying when is a quality, and rest assured, this is my experience, if a quality is predominantly strong, it's very predominant, very strong, you will get a lot of testimonies. If it says somebody who's stealing and there's no other testimony, maybe it's a one-time thing. Maybe it's a one-time thing. Or maybe it's one-time thing, but it never happened because the person comes from a background where it doesn't happen. So sometimes people do have a desire to do a steal, for example, but they don't steal because, they are not put in a situation. But if they were put in a situation, probably they will. So it's something very situational. So let's say a father whose family is hungry, and he has no choice but to go and steal. So the person will steal under the situation. But otherwise, his ethics will not allow him to do that. But you will see that sign. If you see that, ignore it. Because it's only a situation. Unless is it causing, for example, a person steals, he gets caught. He goes to jail, and you see that sign going to jail, imprisonment. Then probably you need to, because there's a testimony. As a result of the stealing, the person is going to jail. And it changes the life of his own life as well as his family's life or his dear ones, whoever is around him or her. So then you can say those kind of things. Okay, look, I see something happening with you. This is probably it. You will be in a situation where you will do something that will cause you to be imprisoned or something. So only then you come up with this. Otherwise, ignore it. It's one-time thing. Or you don't know if that situation is going to arrive unless you really look into it and you measure everything very precisely. But if you are that good, then you have other testimonies. The other testimonies will definitely follow a strong trait, a trait that you will be. So be very careful about judging people from one indication and then making a judgment on that. So be careful. So today's topic actually, I started off with comparing the fingers with a palm, but the introduction itself took about 45 minutes. And in introduction, I have compared the two sizes, the proportion of each another will go furthermore. Eventually, proportion, usually the normal proportion will be 4 to 3, 3 parts and 2 parts. So it's like if you take 1 and the fingers are 3, the palm is, so it's 3 to 4. I'm sorry. So if it's 4 inches, 3 inches, make it simple. So if your palm is 4 inches, the normal hand would be 3 inches in fingers. It could be 4 inches. 4 and 4 is ideal, but you won't see that. So 3, 3.5, 3/4, three quarters, something like that. So if a hand is, the palm is 4 inches and fingers are 3 inches, fine. Then again, you look on both sides. See if the fingers are really giving. If fingers seem short here, then fingers seem short here, they are actually short. And then you measure them and you see how short they are. If they are really very short, then you have a palm, dominating palm. Now, and we also discussed that, the color of the palm, the dryness, the moisture, and the extent of the moisture, the extent of the dryness, how it impacts health and the quality of a person's spiritual and character quality of a person. So this alone, this looking at palm will reveal this 45 minutes of knowledge, and there will be more when you practice. Sometimes, when I'm talking from, I have taken the points to look at which is my next point. But when I actually start talking, I can, literally go left and right, and because there's so much to talk about. Because when you're talking about a personality, let's say a trait like a womanizer, and then you start to talk about the psychological impact on the person and why is the person doing this and blah, 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 and then you can go way out of it. So the topic is, is buried deep under the rest of the knowledge. So I'm always afraid of going into that kind of a detail. Yet my one little thing that I discuss, it puts me off big on the scale. My videos, even though I intended to make a 10-minute video, I end up making 35, 40, 50, maybe an hour. So yesterday I was looking at, the other day, on YouTube, somebody actually in 10 minutes, he covered the whole hand. Okay, he covered the full palmistry in 10 minutes. What can you learn from that? Whereas we have a 45 minutes just on the condition, the palm and the dryness of the hand, how it tells people. So be very careful. The judgment itself is actually here. When you are making it, if it's in the hand, you are the interpreter. You are the decoder of it. When you decode, you want to make sure that you scientifically, not, esoterically, but scientifically, you're looking at the hand and expressing the nervousness, the calmness, the quality of the personality, the strength of the personality, the strength of the person, the physical strength. You're not just looking at the hand itself, but you're looking at the person itself. The person is tall, short, he's fat, he's skinny, he's bony, So it's not just the hand that is going to give you that impression. The whole body is going to give. So when you're looking at a person, you're not only looking at hand, but the whole person, and whole person is revealing the personality. So you're grabbing that impression, and then you also have a hand where you have a measured, calculated revelation that, okay, this means this means this. It's an experience. So when you go across and you see somebody is very nervous, scratching, what do you say? You just immediately say the person is nervous. So that's why when you look at a person, the hand will also have that kind of reflection. And then you also have a person's personality. So look at that. I'll see you in the next video with the fingers. So then we go back again into the palm. So we cover this, fingers, thumb, and back into the palm. And when we go into the palm, we mostly start to discuss the lifeline, heart line, and brain line. And then we start to go much deeper into every one of them. So you're close. Keep watching. Tell other friends. Subscribe. Like. I have seen more people subscribe to my channel, but less people liking. Nobody has given me unlike or thumb down, but they're all up, thumb up. But there should be a lot of ups. If you're watching till this end, I hope that you have already taken a keen interest in this video. And this is a very knowledgeable video. You will not find a free video with this much of depth in this study. So take advantage of it. Encourage me, tell me, give me a feedback, and I'll see you in the next video with the fingers. Take care. Till then, bye.